Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready to dive into something pretty wild? We're tackling consciousness today.
Oh, yeah.
But not just like, the what is it question.
Right.
This is like full on what if everything we thought about it is wrong?
Yeah.
You guys sent over this book, The Superluminal Universe.
I've heard of this one.
And let me tell you, it is a trip.
Yeah.
So buckle up because we're going to try to unpack some of this together.
It's a wild one.
It is a wild one. So basically, it's like the authors are saying, okay, all the old models of consciousness, out the window. We're starting fresh.
Yeah. They really just throw out the old playbook.
Completely. And they're basing this new model on some pretty intense physics, too.
Yeah, they go deep, like really deep. Which is interesting because it makes you wonder if our everyday reality is just this tiny little piece of something way bigger. Stranger, even.
It's giving Plato's Caves vibes, but like on a whole other level.
Totally. Makes you question what's actually real.
Right. Okay, so to get where they're coming from, we kind of have to do a speed run through how philosophers have tackled this whole consciousness thing throughout history.
Okay, so back to the basics.
Just the highlights. So like way back when, you've got Democritus hanging out with his atoms.
Right. The building blocks of everything.
Exactly. And he thought those same atoms, they made up like physical stuff, but also the soul.
Interesting.
Right. Then fast forward a bit and Descartes jumps in and says, nope, mind and body totally separate. Which, let me tell you, really threw a wrench in things for everyone after him.
Oh, yeah. Centuries of debate spawned from that one.
It's true, and we're still debating it. So maybe, just maybe, physics is the answer. At least that's what this book is banking on. It's like it takes this hard left turn into like relativity and quantum mechanics, which, don't worry, we'll try to make as painless as possible.
Right, because those topics can be a little intimidating.
To say the least. So like with Einstein, he basically revolutionized how we think about time and space, right?
Right. Absolutely. Time isn't this constant thing ticking away in the background anymore. It's relative. Imagine it like a river.
Okay.
And that river, it flows at different speeds depending on where you are, how fast you're moving. That's time dilation.
So if you're like in a spaceship going crazy fast, almost the speed of light.
Time slows down for you compared to someone back on Earth chilling out.
Whoa, see, this is what I'm talking about. It's mind-blowing. And then on top of that, you've got quantum mechanics, which is already a whole other bag of chips. Particles acting like waves, like make up your mind, universe.
Right. But that's the thing with quantum mechanics. It's like the universe IS kind of saying, I'm not going to make up my mind until you're looking. Like the act of observing something actually changes what happens.
Okay, wait, hold on. You're saying our minds, our consciousness could be influencing reality.
That's one way to interpret it. That maybe consciousness plays a role in collapsing all those quantum possibilities into the reality we experience.
Okay, you officially blew my mind. Again.
And it gets even wilder.
Oh, I bet it does.
This is where the superluminal universe really takes off. Okay. They introduce this idea of superluminal space-time. Basically a reality where the speed of light, which, Einstein told us was the ultimate speed limit, yeah, that doesn't apply.
Wait, faster than the speed of light? Isn't that like against the rules?
In our everyday reality, sure, but there's this theory that there could be particles that always travel faster than light. They call them tachyons.
Tachyons. Sounds intense.
Think of it like this. Imagine a race where one of the runners is already at the finish line before the starting gun even goes off.
Okay, that's just not fair.
That's a tachyon. They play by a different set of rules.
So we've got this superluminal reality with these tachyons zipping around, and somehow our consciousness is involved.
Yeah.
How does any of this connect back to us here now?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And the authors of this book, they are not afraid to tackle that head on.
So we're talking about a reality where the speed of light doesn't even matter. A place where, like, our normal rules don't apply. And you're saying our consciousness might actually be part of that.
That's what the authors are proposing.
Yeah.
It's like we're dipping our toes into, like, a whole other dimension of existence.
Okay, that's kind of freaking me out, but also I want to know more. Like, what does that even mean for us here now, dealing with traffic and paying bills?
Right. It's not like we could just hop on a spaceship and fly to superluminal land. Or can we? But seriously, that's what I think is so cool about this book. They take these huge EE ideas and try to, like, ground them in our everyday experience.
So how does superluminal consciousness, like, actually play out in our lives?
Well, let's take free will, for example. What if this superluminal part of us, it's not bound by time the way we are? Like, it experiences all of our choices, our whole lives all at once. Kind of like seeing the whole tapestry while we're stuck just looking at one thread.
You're saying our lives are basically
Yeah.
What predetermined? So much for free will then, right?
Maybe not.
Yeah.
It's not that simple. Remember that analogy of the record?
Mm.
Like maybe our superluminal consciousness, it hears the whole thing playing at once, all the notes, all the music, all mixed together.
Okay.
While our brains, our physical selves, we're stuck listening to it one note at a time,
Right.
creating this illusion of time moving forward, of us making choices.
Okay, I think I see what you mean. So it's like our brains are playing catch up with our consciousness,
Yeah,
trying to make sense of this reality that's already out there beyond time.
exactly. It's a trip, right?
It's a total trip. And speaking of trips, what about like death? Where does the superluminal consciousness go when we die?
That's where things get really interesting. Because the authors, they connect this idea to near-death experiences. You know, those stories people tell about the light, the feeling of peace, seeing loved ones who have passed away.
Yeah, those stories are always so powerful.
They're suggesting that these experiences, they could be glimpses into this superluminal reality. Like our consciousness is briefly, popping over to the other side.
So like a little sneak peek of what's to come.
Something like that. But
Right.
think about it. Those common elements of NDEs, the out-of-body sensations, the feeling of being connected to everything, the sense of having access to this incredible knowledge,
Right.
that might be what it's like to exist in that superluminal realm. Pure information, pure connection.
Okay, hold on. Back up a second. If those NDEs are so amazing, so peaceful, why would anyone ever come back?
That's a great question. And the authors propose that it has to do with our connection to our physical bodies. It's like a tether, drawing our consciousness back.
So even though part of us might belong to this timeless, superluminal realm, we're still kind of stuck here.
At least for now.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. This is where it gets really interesting.
Mm.
What if there are ways to loosen that tether, to tap into that superluminal part of ourselves while we're still here?
Okay, now you're speaking my language. So how do we do it? How do we access this other side?
Well, the book doesn't exactly come with a step-by-step guide, but it does suggest that a lot of what we might think of as, paranormal activity could actually be explained by this connection to the superluminal.
Wait, are you saying that ghosts and stuff might be real? Tell me more.
It's not like ghosts in bed sheets, but like those weird feelings, those moments where you just know something's going to happen before it does.
Okay, so you're talking premonitions, gut feelings, that kind of thing.
Exactly. What if those are just like little leaks from this superluminal realm? Like our consciousness is picking up on something beyond our normal senses.
So it's not just woo-woo stuff, it's like actual science.
Well, the book argues that what we call paranormal might just be science we don't fully understand yet. Like, if our consciousness isn't bound by time the way we think it is, then why couldn't we get glimpses of the future or tap into information that seems to come from nowhere?
Okay, that's kind of blowing my mind. So you're saying, like, those times when I just have this weird feeling that I shouldn't get on that elevator, and then it turns out the cable broke later that day?
Maybe your superluminal self gave you a heads up.
Whoa. I mean, I'm not saying that's definitely it, but whoa.
Exactly. And who's to say some people aren't better at tuning into that than others? Maybe that explains why some people seem to have more of these quote-unquote paranormal experiences.
Okay, this is all a lot to take in. So we've covered some seriously mind-bending stuff today. Superluminal particles, consciousness beyond time, our brains acting like cosmic antennas. It's wild. What's the takeaway for someone listening to all this? Like, where do we even begin to wrap our heads around it all?
It's definitely a lot. But I think the most important thing is to just stay curious. Don't shy away from the weird stuff.
Yeah, keep an open mind.
Exactly. Pay attention to those moments when something seems to defy logic, when you have a gut feeling that turns out to be right, when you have a dream that feels incredibly real.
And don't just dismiss it as nothing, right?
Right. Lean into that sense of wonder. Question what you think you know about reality. Because the more open we are to the possibilities, the more we might start to tap into this superluminal part of ourselves.
I love that. Approach it all with a sense of curiosity and an open mind. This deep dive has been a wild ride, and I want to thank you all for coming along for the adventure. And a huge thank you to our expert for, well, being an expert on all this mind-blowing stuff.
Thanks for having me. It's always fun to explore these ideas.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep reaching for those stars, even the ones we can't see with our ordinary eyes.